All right, everybody. Today we're going to go through Welcome Christmas from the Dr. Seuss classic, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Uh, I'm sure you've probably read or seen it. I hope you've only ever seen the original animated version, the one that was animated by somebody's hands, uh, not by a computer, and certainly not the one performed by Mr. Carey and company. But yeah, if you have seen it, and I think if you've seen the live action one too, you'll remember the song "Welcome Christmas." And I was listening to a Christmas mix on Alexa with my wife and child, and my wife commented, "Oh, it sounds like they're singing in Latin." If you remember, I'm not going to play the actual song because YouTube will like flag me, I'm sure. But it says "Fahu Forest, Dahu Doris, Welcome Christmas, bring your light." They repeat that a couple of times, and then in the second verse, or the bridge or whatever, they sang "Welcome Christmas, Fahu Ramos, Welcome Christmas, Dahu Damus." Now, my wife commented, "Oh, it sounds like they're singing in Latin," and I don't think Dr. Seuss necessarily intended for that. I think he was just making up uh, a language for the Who's, because it all kind of rhymes with who. But I decided I was going to treat it as though they were singing in Latin, and I'm going to try to translate it into English on the assumption that they're speaking in Latin. Although I will admit, I'm assuming that the Who speak Latin with a very idiosyncratic pronunciation. So the H is very flexible. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting for certain consonants. I will admit some of this is a stretch, but I think I managed to make it sort of make sense. So, all right, let's start here at the beginning here. So Fahu. Again, I'm thinking it's Fagu is what they're trying to say. Now Fagus, and now but for the record, I am really sloppy in my own Latin pronunciation. That's why I'm projecting. I weave in and out of like classical and ecclesiastical, and so it's not something I'm that interested in, to be honest. Is pronunciation. So Fagus is Latin for beech tree. It's also the name of one of their gods. It's apparently the god of children, babies. Which maybe is fitting for like a children's story, but it also means beech tree. So Fagu or Fago could be in either the dative or the ablative case, right? So it could be an indirect object or it could be kind of a locational thing. So this could mean something like from the beech tree, or even kind of if you're interpret it kind of loosely, sort of in the beech tree or within the beech tree. It could mean from the beech tree in the case of like a preposition like X or something, which we don't have here. So I'm gonna broadly see it as being an ablative. So sort of by the beech tree, with the beech tree, in the beech tree, that kind of thing. A forest seems like it could be the second person singular of a foro, which means to pierce or to bore through. So forest would be like you singular, you pierce. So I'm gonna think that it kind of suggests an entry through a tree, through a beech tree, right? Breaking through a beech tree. It would, and if you're gonna get through wood, you need to bore through it, right? So Dahu seems like it could be the first person singular. Dago, um, Digo, which means something like I remain alive or I wait. So Dahu would be like Dagu. So it could be like I live, I keep living, I persist in living, or I'm waiting. Right? Well, it wouldn't be like because that'd be like imperfect, but you know what I mean. I wait, right? I live. Doras could be Doras, which is a second person singular. Again, you got that S at the end, so it's second person singular in the verb of Doro. Be I last or endure, or durare, which is the infinitive, to last or endure. So duris, sort of like you endure, like you remain, you last, you keep on going. Yeah. Now we know Christmas is sort of eternal, right? There's a lovely poem actually to this effect. In the pure soul, although it sing or pray, the Christ is born anew from day to day. The life that knoweth him shall bide apart and keep eternal Christmas in the heart. So, you singular, you Christmas, you which is being addressed, right? You Christmas, you remain, like you persist forever. Right? We're asking you we're welcoming you, but we know that you remain. Fahu. Now I know there was already an earlier Fahu, but I'm cheating here. But I think this is actually a different word, because it's followed by a noun in the accusative case. And because accusative case refers to the direct object needs a verb to take, right? Because the nominative would verb a direct object. So in light of that, this has got to be a verb. So this is, and often, not always, with verbs, you got the O at the end. That's first person singular, right? Uh, I do this thing. So fahu, I'm thinking that's like fagu. And the most likely there is it's faku, which is I make, right? Faco. So like factory, your Santa and his elves in their factory. Factory is where things are made, right? So I make it. It's a broad word, right? But it means a lot of different forms of making. But yeah, I make faco. And so of course it needs an accusative now. So what is it making? Well, Ramos. So that sounds like tree branch in Latin, which is Ramos. Um, Again, this is odd because there's moose often means first person plural. Adoremus, we adore and all that. Yeah, in this case, though, I think it's a noun because the plural of it, so it's tree branches. We already talked about a beech tree, right? Uh, and so here's tree branches, Ramos, and then that's the start of the nominative singular. But Ramos is tree branches in the accusative, so the direct object. So I make tree branches would be what it is altogether. And then Damus here you have that as a verb form. It's first person plural for to give, or I give, right? And this first person plural, so it'd be we give. Right? So altogether, here's how I think I would roughly translate this into English. You break in through the beech tree. I wait, you stay. Welcome Christmas, bring your light. Welcome Christmas, I make tree branches. Welcome Christmas, I live, we give. All right. Now, so Fago Forest, Dago Doris, welcome Christmas, bring your light. Welcome Christmas, Faco Ramos. Welcome Christmas, Dago Damus. So obviously it's a stretch because your moose is in one case it's an accusative for a noun, in another case it's a first person plural for a verb. But I think there's lots of references to trees, right? And to welcoming and ushering Christmas in, right? So I think this sort of actually, it translated sort of loosely and a little liberally kind of actually does make some sense. So there you have it. There is a Welcome Christmas translated from the presumptive Latin.